Hello everyone, good morning, good afternoon, as per your respective time zone. On behalf of entire Mastek Managed Services team, would like to welcome you all to 22D Supply Chain Management Advisory webinar session. This important session is to keep you fully synchronized with the new features and functionalities as part of this quarter release, which Oracle provides. My name is Hardik Patel and I'm an operations manager at Mastek Managed Services team. Today, I'm your host for this session, and I'm glad to introduce my colleague Rashi Sharma, who's part of our vast supply chain team at Mastek UK. Today, she'll take us through all the procurement and advanced procurement updates for 22D quarter release. Today's session is planned for around 45-60 minutes, and we'll make sure that we leave some time to answer questions you may have. We also have a panelist available, Chami, with us, so she'll be happy to answer any questions you may have. Before we move to today's agenda, let's have a quickly look at the important disclaimer, please. Would like to convey your approach towards Oracle updates in a very simple method. We'll be taking you through vital analysis of the 22D updates done by our experts, which will help you incorporate new features and updates easily into your system. We will also make sure that we sync you on any bugs or known issues if there are any. It's good to have an interactive session, so please do ask questions through chat or question panel, which you can see in your go-to window. And if we run out of time, we'll make sure that we will connect you individually at a later stage and we'll answer any of the questions you may have. We'll go next. This is to give you a glimpse on how we have created the structure of this session. So the list of new features coming into 22D, detailing on features, so you get brief understanding on what new features are all about. And the next one is what are the business benefits, an important takeaway for you as a decision maker. There are 4 components where we have done in-depth analysis of the features which we're going to present to you today. So the first one is going to be impact level analysis of which demonstrate the impact on the end user. If it's a low impact, then regression testing can be avoided or not. If it's a high impact, then we need to offer regression testing. And the second one, which is we all are aware, there's some features which are by default auto-enabled by Oracle, and there are some which we need to opt for. And the third one highlights the nature of the feature. There would be certain configuration which may be required and some can be used without any changes at all. And the last one, which is a quick win. This term we simply use to convey that what is ready to use by investing minimum amount of time and what requires significant amount of time and efforts to make use of this feature. I won't take much time of yours, but quickly before I hand it over to my colleague, would like to do one quick poll wherein we would like to know that which industry does your organization belongs to. If you can please help with your poll on the screen, please. This will probably help us crafting the more specific content. Thank you so much, everyone, for the poll. We'll be closing the poll now, and immediately I'll be handing over to my colleague, Rashi Sharma. She'll be taking you to today's session. Rashi, please unmute yourself, and stage is all yours. I'm closing the poll now. And thank you once again. I can see some attendees are putting their answers. Yep. Poll is closed now, and the stage is all yours, Rashi. Please go ahead. Thank you.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Rashi Sharma, and I am currently working as an L1 SCM consultant at Mastek. I will be delivering today's presentation on procurement and advanced procurement. So today's presentation will demonstrate all of the latest features that 22 update will provide. This comes with a mix of configuration that needs to be set and also areas which require no configurations at all. You will also see an impact analysis, which is on every single slide of the presentation, which will demonstrate if it's a quick win, whether there are any configurations involved, or what is the impact analysis, what is the impact level, and if we need to sort out any sort of enabling. So to begin with, I'm going to start with the 22D features. So the first one is specify an overriding approver for purchase orders. So using the override first approver for purchase orders feature, you can route purchase orders and related change orders for approval to the overriding approver from the backing requisition. In cases where the requisition's overriding approver is no longer responsible for approving the order or its subsequent changes, buyers and requesters can now use this new feature to specify a different overriding approver on the purchase order and related change orders. So as you can see, this slide represents overriding approval on requisition. You can also see a requester initiated change order with different overriding approver. You can see in this slide approval rule to route requester initiated change orders to the PO overrider. And you can see lastly approval rule to route requester initiated change orders to the requisitions overriding approver. Our next feature involves an automate invoice validation to release holds upon purchase orders change. So this feature specifically focuses on enabling automatic validation of matched invoices to release hold upon change order implementation. This will eliminate the need to manually validate and release invoice holds if the purchase order change removes the hold condition. This can also eliminate the time delay if you have the invoice validation process running on schedule. So as you can see, this slide shows us orders with invoice holds requiring attention. You can see change order correcting varies between purchase order and matched invoice. You can see the invoice validated upon change order implementation. Our next feature is search requisitions by project and task as a buyer. This feature specifically involves search for requisition lines using project attributes such as project number and task number. As a buyer, you can now filter the requisitions to be processed into purchase orders using project details. And what are business benefits? Now, this will help users in terms of trackability and traceability. One of our next features is selected purchasing bug fixes in this update. This update includes some bug fixes that can change the way Oracle purchasing works. This isn't a full list of bug fixes in this update, but the list includes the bug fixes that can cause a noticeable change in application behavior. The following list includes communication correct documentation revision to suppliers, reserve funds for change order net increase during submission, export notes to supplier and receiver, reprice when updating requested delivery dates, retrieve supplier contact email or fax number when cancelling or recommunicating a purchase order, include purchase order descriptive flex fields in OTBI cross-functional area analysis, and lastly, include enable automatic sourcing indicator in OTBI analysis. Our next feature includes manage purchase prices and purchase agreements for a group or for a group of requisitioning BUs. Map multiple requisition business units to a source organization and create external purchase prices for the group of requisitioning business units BUs specified in these mappings. You can maintain external purchase prices for this group of requisitioning BUs instead of creating a separate external purchase prices for each requisitioning business unit. The purchase agreements created from these external purchase prices will be accessible to all the requisitioning BUs in the group. As you can see, external purchase prices with multiple requisitioning BUs, you can now map a source organization to more than one requisitioning business unit belonging to a procurement BU using Manage External Purchase Prices Business Unit mapping setting up task from the External Purchase Pricing mappings page. A requisitioning business unit can be mapped to only one active source organization. Requisitioning BU mapping setup. To create a new mapping, click and add on the External Purchase Prices mappings page to open the Add Mapping panel. You can also add requisitioning business units to an active mapping at any point of time. On the external purchase price mappings page, you can click on the requisitioning BUs for a source organization to open the Manage Mappings panel. Add the requisitioning BUs and click on Save. Updating a requisitioning BU mapping. If external purchase prices exist for the mapping, the BU access of purchase agreements created for those external purchase prices are automatically updated with the newly added requisitioning business unit. A newly scheduled process update BU access for purchase agreements created from external purchase prices performs this update. The mapping status also shows pending until the purchase agreements are updated with the new requisitioning business units, after which the status changes to active. On the mapping details panel, you can also change the status of the mapping to inactive by turning off the active switch. For the status to be changed to inactive, the mapping must not be used in any external purchase prices other than those in cancelled status. Update BU access for purchase agreement schedule process. If any purchase agreements could not be updated due to an error, the status of the mapping is error. The number of purchase agreements in the error is displayed in the purchase agreement exceptions card in the external purchase prices work area. You can drill down from the card to the purchase agreement exceptions page to view the error details. After resolving the errors, update the purchase agreements by submitting the schedule process update BU access for purchase agreements created from external purchase prices. BU access exceptions for purchase agreement. Now, this feature reduces the time and the effort involved in creation and maintenance of external purchase prices because you have now lesser number of external purchase prices to manage. Creation of common purchase agreement for multiple requisitioning BUs also helps you with improved performance in managing the procurement process. Automatic updates to the BU access of the purchase agreements with newly added requisitioning business units provides you with an improved flexibility to manage your requisitioning business units in external purchase prices. Now we'll focus on the quick win defaults with no configurations. Our first feature involves prevent suppliers from registering as a duplicate. Supplier self-service registration provides an efficient process for onboarding new suppliers. Unfortunately, suppliers can register multiple times due to the factors such as employee turnover or an expanding sales force. The suppliers get no indication that they're already in the supplier master and submits a registration that eventually results in duplicate supplier error. This requires your manual intervention to correct and waste the supplier's time completing a registration that will be rejected. Now, with this feature, the company name, the DUNS number, taxpayer ID, and tax registration number of the registering company are used to perform the duplicate check. The registering company is considered a duplicate if at least one of these attributes is found to be matching against existing suppliers or registration requests that are in progress. Our business benefit includes for this feature, suppliers will now be prevented from registering if they're already a valid supplier in the supplier master. Checking for duplicate suppliers upfront during supplier self-service registration ensures only new suppliers that can submit registration requests. This leads to fewer errors or administrators to resolve and save your suppliers time and frustration. Our next feature is manage large negotiations. Customers across industries such as construction, distribution, retail, manufacturing, and public sector who use Oracle sourcing need the ability to process very large negotiations. Now, these negotiations with very high line volumes, such as negotiations that can't be processed in real time due to application constraints with UI displays or timeout limits. Now, with this feature, you can conduct a large line of volume negotiations using file-based data import and background processing. In large negotiations, you will be able to import a large number of negotiation lines using file-based data import process, which you're all familiar with, which is the FPDI, search lines in the UI, generate scalable, lightweight negotiation and response documents. You can send negotiation documents as a notification attachments to approvers and suppliers. You can also monitor the status of schedule background process through the negotiation lifecycle. Events such as publish negotiation, create amendment, and import award lines spreadsheet trigger background processes. Notification alerts after background processes is completed. Suppliers can also import responses using background processes. You can also award a large line of volumes and export using background process. And lastly, automate large negotiation creation using web services. Some also points to remember are creating large negotiation. Large negotiations can be created using a negotiation template which copies all of the template information except lines to large negotiation. A new MS Excel template is available to import lines in the FPDI process. You can also use this template to add, update, or delete negotiation lines and line entities such as external cost factors, quantity-based price tiers, or price breaks. Web services are available to automate this FPDI process. The import lines template has separate worksheets to add lines, external cost factors, and quantity-based price tiers or price breaks based on negotiation outcome. To add line attributes, you need to specify an attribute list at a line level. Once the lines are imported successfully, you are notified and able to review them in application. After adding suppliers to control their line access, use an Excel spreadsheet with Visual Builder, add in or invoke the supplier negotiation REST web services. Two negotiation header approval attributes are introduced, which can be used to create negotiation approval rules specific to large organization. Large negotiations and count of lines. Actions such as validate negotiation and publish negotiation will trigger a background process. You can monitor their status in the monitor processes page, and you are also notified once the job is completed. Now, another point to remember is regarding create and manage supplier responses. Now, invited suppliers will receive an invitation notification with the responses lines spreadsheet, which is the CSV, and the negotiation details PDF as an attachment. Suppliers can directly use this response lines spreadsheet to prepare the response and import it. Suppliers also have the ability to search for lines and edit their responses online. Events such as export response line spreadsheet, import responses line spreadsheet, valid response, and submit response trigger background processes. Suppliers can also monitor them in monitor processes page where they are notified once the job is completed. You can also submit the surrogate responses to large negotiations on behalf of the suppliers. Another point to remember is suppliers can revise an existing response or submit multiple responses if allowed. Manage large negotiation cycle. You can manage the large negotiation cycle like any other negotiations. For example, you can pause, extend, or close it early. Monitor supplier activities, lock out suppliers, or disqualify a response. You can also create an amendment or a new round with a background process to carry over the lines. Now, awarding large negotiations. After the negotiation is closed, you can optionally score the requirement responses and remove the responses that don't meet the requirements from the shortlist status. The entire negotiation can be awarded to a single response online after comparing the responses side by side. Overall, Overall, response ranking or line level response ranking is available for analyzing the responses. You can also export the award lines spreadsheet for analyzing line level responses offline and record the award decision in the spreadsheet. You can also award the negotiation at line level by importing the award lines spreadsheet. While awarding the negotiation by line, you can also export and import the award lines in multiple batches by line range. 3 new award header approval attributes are introduced, which can be used to create award approval rules to specific large organizations, which are large organizations, count of lines, and lines pending award. So these are the screens that demonstrate all of the points that I have mentioned just now. Moving on to our next feature, invite all supplier contacts. Now, you can select a specific supplier contact to invite in a negotiation and also specify an additional email to send the notification and a PDF. But often, it isn't known to which person is the right sourcing contact. There can be several supplier contacts as a company who need to be notified about negotiation opportunity in order to maximize the chances of the supplier's participation. With this feature, you can now notify all contacts for an invited supplier. Supplier contacts with and without supplier portal user accounts will receive the notification email and PDF. Once notified, contacts who did not have a user account may initiate user account creation or submit an offline response for buyers to record as surrogate responses. You can also notify contacts when you invite additional suppliers after publishing the negotiation. When you choose to notify all contacts, selecting a primary supplier contact is optional. When you send an online message to all participants, all contacts of the invited supplier having an active user account will receive the online message notification. Similarly, all the contacts of the invited supplier having an active user account are notified when the amendment is published, or if the negotiation is paused, resumed, extended, or closed. Now, what are the business benefits? With this feature, you can reduce the burden on category managers to figure out which suppliers contact to invite. Our next feature includes default a negotiation template. Now, creating a document with accurate response rules, response visibility requirements, and instructions is key to conducting a fair, compliant negotiations. You can create negotiation templates with predefined information for lines, requirements, suppliers, response rules, and other controls. Once the templates are defined, you can reuse them without having to re-enter negotiation information. With this update, you will now have the ability to set a default negotiation template when creating a negotiation. Setting a default template will ensure that negotiations are created with the correct information, improve efficiency, and maintain accuracy. You can also select a unique default template for each document type, RFI or RFQs, and auction on the negotiation style. When you select the negotiation type and style on the Create Negotiation pop-up, the default negotiation template is automatically selected. You have the option to change it. A business benefit with this feature involves improving usability and reduce errors by defaulting the right negotiation content such as response visibility, response rules, instructions, and other negotiation controls. Our next feature involves enforced negotiation template selection. Category managers can now be required to use negotiation template to drive best practice when it comes to creating a negotiation. Templates are often used to maintain accuracy and save time during negotiation creation as they have preceded data like line requirement details, supplier-related information, and response that have preceded data, and response rule settings. If users miss out to select a template, it can lead to longer times to publish negotiation errors and rework. With this update, you can make the template selection required in the negotiation for procurement business unit Template is enforced when category managers create negotiations in negotiations work area or from the process requisitions page. The business benefit includes usage of negotiation templates can save time, maintain accuracy, and drive best practices. By requiring that category managers must select a set template, you can drive better compliance in negotiation creation. One of the next features is initiate approval for purchasing document. You can now initiate an approval by default when you're creating purchasing documents for the negotiation award. If you enable this feature for the procurement business unit on the creating purchasing documents page, the initiate approval checkbox is selected by default for all purchasing documents to be created from the negotiation award. Our next feature is configure approval rules for amendments and new rounds. The new approval attribute negotiation change type is now available to configure negotiation and award approval rules. You can route the negotiation or award documents to the right approver based on whether if it's an amendment or a new round. For example, if you require amendments to approved RFQs to be auto-approved, but when the new round is created, the RFQ should be routed to the additional approvers in the organization hierarchy. This can be achieved. Or if you require at least 2 rounds of award negotiations, for example, a first RFQ round to shortlist suppliers and a second auction round to identify the best pricing, you can set approval rules to auto-reject an award decision unless it's a new round. Now, what are the business benefits? Flexibility in creating approval rules enables a smarter approval routing and ensures the right approvers are reached to make the best approval decisions based on your business needs. The next feature is selected sourcing bug fixes in this update. Now, this update includes some bug fixes that can change the way Oracle sourcing works. This isn't a full list of all the bug fixes in this update. However, this list includes bug fixes that can cause a noticeable change in the application behavior. The following list includes apply procurement BU defaults when creating negotiation from requisitions, configure negotiation pages and actions based on time remaining to close. Suppliers can also accept terms for negotiations creating using REST service. Create a base contract in negotiations created using REST service. Improved error handling when creating amendment or new round by team member with incomplete setup. Our next feature includes exclude not applicable questions from sourcing. When qualifying suppliers, you might ask that you don't always apply to some suppliers. Now, questions don't apply, should not impact the evaluation when you score that supplier. To better manage this, when defining qualification questions, you can now mark one or more responses options, indicating that you wish to exclude that question from scoring if responders choose that response. During evaluation, the scoring weight of these not applicable questions is automatically redistributed to the other applicable questions that their relative importance doesn't change. What are the business benefits? Now, this avoids penalizing or rewarding the suppliers when calculating the final qualification outcome. For multiple choice question with the scoring enabled, you can now define an acceptable response as not applicable and mark it for scoring exclusion. So the question is not scored when responders choose that response. Our next feature includes analyze classification results in a batch and use visualizations for a focused review. Review and improve your classification results with the help of a new analytics dashboard. This includes detailed visualizations and powerful search options that help you narrow down the transactions that may need your attention. As you assess classifications predictions for individual spend records, You can make corrections, view overall improvements to your batch results in real time. The Analytics option of Batch Details page opens a new Analytics landing page, which contains metrics, charts, and other visualizations to help you assess classification accuracy. The analytics for the batch that are organized into 4 sections are classification performance, classification spread, positive influences, and negative influences. By clicking on each sections, you can view detailed charts of related metrics. Classification performance. Now this allows you to review the classification results for the batch by category based on system confidence level for the predictions that have been made. The default view is for low confidence transactions. Now the chart shows you how many of the transactions predicted for a category were originally assigned to that category and how many were assigned into a different category. This split is shown by the number of transactions. This can highlight the areas where there may be issues with the predictions being generated by spend classification. The classification performance chart makes it easy, and you can drill down to the actual transactions for any of the regions in the chart. Transactions by status. Classification spread. Now, the chart in this section allows you to understand how much of your category taxonomy includes predicted spend. It helps you to assess the accuracy of the predictions for those categories. Now, this helps you to determine the relevance of your taxonomy or highlight significant issues with your knowledge base if you have training set data for a significant number of categories that are receiving no predicted spend. You can also compare the transaction categorization before and after the classification process and see the breakup of this spend in terms of the transaction amount or the number of transactions per category. Major deviations may warrant intervention and review. As with the transactions by category chart, you can also use these charts to drill down the batch details and make the changes if required. Positive influences. This section within the Analytics dashboard shows you the words in the training data that have greater significance and positive impact on accurate classification or category prediction. Review the positive keywords to assess whether there are improvements that can be made to training data by refining existing keywords or augmenting them with additional similar terms. This should help you make changes that ensure that the training data is adequate and the results are coming from positive influences. Lastly, negative influences. Now this shows the words in the training data that either have no impact or have a negative impact on accurate classification or category prediction for categories. Review a negative keyword and remove them from the training data to improve the classification results. You can add the negative keyword to the training exclusions to improve the classification results for a training set. Our next feature includes use updated rich text editor in enterprise contracts. You can use the latest built-in rich text editor when editing clause text in Oracle Enterprise contracts. It's really advantageous in terms of simplified, more modern interface while using the same features available in the prior version of the editor. Our last feature includes protect supporting documents from deletion. Protect your supporting documents from being inadvertently deleted. Adding the new privilege, delete supporting documents by contract status to the required role lets you restrict the deletion of supporting documents in all of the contract statuses, other than draft and under amendment. To restrict the deletion of the supporting documents in all of the contract statuses, revoke the existing privilege. Delete support documents for specific roles. What is the business benefit? Now, this feature lets you protect contracts from supporting documents from deletion. from deletion using privileges. So this was the 22D features, all of the features. And I think that is it. And I am done with the presentations. Thank you very much. And I will now hand it over to Hardik.
Thank you, Rashi, for the wonderful insights today. So before we start the Q&A, we'd like to have a quick poll on the screen, wherein we'd like to know from all of you that what are your area of interest, whether they're technology innovations, managed services, value-based analytics, or Glide 4.0. And if you need any of the information on any of these, you can also reach out to the dedicated support managers or the service manager for your account from our side. Thank you so much. We'll be closing the poll in a few seconds. By that time, we'll ask my colleague if there is any questions. Charmy, if you can please reconfirm.
No questions yet, Paul.
No questions, yeah? Okay, no worries. Thank you so much. If you do have any questions still, you can ask us. We have some time. And now I'll be closing the poll. Thank you so much. And would like to take you through one more slide wherein we'll keep you informed that if there we'll be sending you the presentation PDF along with the recording of this session. So I'm trying to go next. Rashi, if you can help me. Yeah, so we have upcoming sessions, as you can see, finance just in few minutes time, then supply chain inventory and order management, which is going to be tomorrow, workforce management on HCM side, and project portfolio management that we have it on 13th. So sorry again, to repeat again, we'll be sending you a presentation PDF and recording of this session of today in next couple of days time, and now we are available to you with a single click. So please do look for an email. And again, if you have any questions on these particular sessions or any of the additional services, quarterly updates, please reach out to the CES support manager or the service manager. And so with this, just the last question we have it, one more, that if you can rate us today's session, please. This will help us improving going forward. On a scale of 1 to 5, please rate the overall experience in today's session. Thank you. Thank you. We'll be closing the poll. And just last question, what we have on the screen. I'll be closing the poll now in 5 seconds. And if you can tell us that if you have been to any of the any previous series, that's the next poll, and that's about it. We won't take more time of yours. We'll be closing the poll now. And the last question, what we have is, have you attended any of the previous webinar sessions, please? And we're done with today's session with this. Thank you so much. We'll be closing the poll now. And once again, we would like to thank you everyone for your valuable time today. Yeah, if you can go to the next slide, please. Thank you so much, everyone, for your valuable time again. Thank you.